Can you believe the kind of spirit she brings to a place? Ladies, please welcome the president of Omaha Liberty Ladies, Mary Jane Trumper.
Thank you so much. What an honor to be here among other moms. It's just a delight. And I have the great honor of introducing the next speaker. She's a wife, mother, and grandmother, and she's so fiercely protected her family that she's earned the nickname Mama Grizzly. She loves God wholeheartedly. She loves her country unabashedly. And she's one of the biggest defenders and most courageous defenders of liberty that I know. Please join me in welcoming the former governor of Alaska, Mrs. SaraPalin.
Thank you so much. It's good to be among friends. Thank you. You look beautiful. It's so good to be here in Nebraska, truly in the heartland, and this is the good life. I had the privilege the other night or last night, my daughter Willow and I, she came with me, and we went to a grocery store, and probably the prettiest grocery store I've ever seen, all decked out in Nebraska red. It was, even the food displays, it was all about football. I thought, yeah, that's pretty cool. It's a great sense of community. And I told Willow too, I said, you know, you're gonna meet some great women here, women who get it about family and faith and freedom, and it's just really, really wonderful to know that we're not alone in the battles that so many of us are fighting today. And I told Willow, I said, but honey, it's really important that in an event like this or afterwards that we don't diminish men. Because we know the scripture and we know God created man first, and then he had a better idea. Ladies and gentlemen, it is such an honor to get to be here with so many women and a couple of men who understand the importance of keeping family first and God in the center of that. So a couple of the men who are here, I'm just like, oh, bless their hearts, you know. Met a couple of them in the photo line, and one, Robert, is married to one of the organizers of the group, and I said, Robert, good for you. You're here with all these women, you know. Is it inspiring to you? And yeah, it's inspiring. And I said, well, you're proof then that, you know, you and your wife, behind every successful and inspired man stands a surprised woman. And Robert and all of the folks who put this together, the sponsors, really need to be thanked because they've been quite sacrificial in doing their part to make sure that this all came together. Willow was reading off to me a list of the sponsors, and she thought she was so funny. She said, oh, haha, Mom, one of these groups, they'd exclude you. It's called the Association of Mature American Citizens. And she insinuated I was immature. So when she said I was immature, I told her, then get out of my fort. Because she said it at home. Well, we have traveled around this country, my family and I, many times into some great nations and met important people with maybe really big fancy titles and fancy offices, but none impress or impact more than you who are America's moms. None. You're the center of family, which is the center of community, and that's the center of our blessed nation. And you know, you're proof that it takes a mom to raise a village. You're in a tough battle for kids' future, though, and I want you to, at an event like this especially, to be able to look around and realize, though, that you're not alone. That's the most important thing, I think, is to not feel alone in this drive that you have, this desire for patriotism to shine again, and to do all that we can to allow America to be that exceptional nation again. Some days you may feel alone against elements in a brutal culture war and in political battles that we're in. Just watching the news, all the tumult and turmoil and corruption and intimidation. Maybe you're not convinced that your efforts in the fight to keep America's foundation, the home, to keep it strong and to keep it together, maybe you don't feel like your efforts are worth it until you realize, again, especially at something like this, you realize that our unity is the fuel to charge ahead and make the difference that this world needs, to be the salt and the light that we're commanded to be, to not be afraid of getting outside of the four walls and stop preaching to the choir, but actually get out there, even in pop culture. Pop culture is more influential than anything else really in our nation today. Politics and everything else is downstream from pop culture. My family and I, we've kind of been criticized sometimes for some of the venues that we participated in. They've done a reality show. Oh, their daughter was on Dancing with the Stars. And I'm like, no, we want to get in there and infiltrate and influence pop culture. That's what makes the difference. When my daughter Bristol was on Dancing with the Stars, she was so cute. She said, "Mom, Dancing with the Stars called," and I don't know if he'd ever even watched the show, and they want me to. I said, "Wow, what did you tell him?" And she said, "Well, I'm not a star and I can't dance, so sure, I'll go do that." So she loaded up her truck and she moved to Beverly Hills. She did, literally drove her truck from Alaska, and she did great. She got into the finals, and yeah. And the reason that they picked her, because they liked to mock her because she was an unwed teenage mom, like she was the only one in the whole country, and coming from a conservative family, well, that was, just worst thing ever, where they were celebrating other young gals who, were in less than ideal situations. And what Bristol was able to do, because she's a good, strong young woman, and Bristol was able to literally turn mourning into dancing. And I told her, I said, "Man, what they're gonna, the critics, how rough it's gonna be, so just heads up." And she says, "That's the point. The critics are gonna criticize. The haters are gonna hate, so I might as well dance." And that's a good life lesson for me. I have to remember that all the time. So some days you may feel alone in this. Let me share a story about, you want to feel alone? Okay. I was on the vice presidential trail. It was the night of a debate with Joe Biden and getting ready to get out there on stage. And there were like 44 million viewers that night. And I'm looking around the green room and backstage for somebody to pray with before I go out there. Who wouldn't? 44 million people, they're watching, tuning in to see me trip up and fall and whatever. So I'm looking around, and there's no one from the campaign who wanted to pray. No. And I find Piper, at the time, 7 years old, in the corner. I said, "Piper, come here, honey. Got to pray together. Where two hearts are together." Yeah. I'm like, pray. I wanted to make it simple. I said, "Pray that Mom does well. Pray that I win." I said, "Piper, pray that God just speaks right through me." She looks up, she goes, "God speaking through you? Mom, that'd be cheating." I cheat a lot because that's where I go all the time. The best day of my life was the day that I became a mom. No better job in the world, none more exciting, none more important, certainly none tougher. Mothers, biological or mothers in spirit, get to be the guardians and the protectors of the American legacy, exercising our innate desire to nurture and to grow love in a family. It strengthens and it unifies a nation. And that united is the only way that we will stand. Women of America can and must unite in order to save a nation. Only mothers give birth to the future. You are the givers of life and are the great antidote to any voice of death that seeks to snuff out the quiet voice of the sustainers of selfless love. You can love the unwanted, the less than perfect, the broken, the hurting, and that's what America needs more of, because it is a war out there for our children's future and for their opportunities for good jobs and safe schools and a respected constitution that protects their God-given inalienable rights, their rights to freedom of speech and to worship freely and to assemble and for equal opportunity, and their right to protect their families by bearing arms. It is that being what it takes to create the most exceptional nation, knowing what is at stake. It's not just these political battles and who's going to be in what position. This is big, this is huge. There's nothing bigger than our children's future to be concerned about. But in this battle, knowing that it is so tough, you have to realize that, yeah, it's tough. You're naive to assume that the battles in your own spheres of influence are going to be easy. Just don't waste your breath complaining about how hard it is. I've found that, you want to share your troubles with someone? Well, 50% of the people you share your troubles with, they don't care. The other 50% you share your troubles with, they're glad you have them. So it's a good thing you have God. I always wonder, how do people do this? How are they ever on a stage or in politics? Man, it's a brutal world. How do you do it without God? I don't know how they do it. Some of them who, dismiss God. I'm like, man, they say, oh, Sarah, you got a crutch, your religion. I'm like, it's my crutch. It sure is. Thank God. Thank you, God, that you are willing to be our crutch. He's my crutch. Some days you think maybe of, I do anyway, those early days of motherhood with maybe kind of a longing. Though, remember being so tired with those 3 a.m. feedings and all the diapers, and back when it took more time to load up everybody in the truck than to actually run the errand you were going to go do, and knowing that your hourglass figure was adding hours with each kid that you were having. But kind of with melancholy still, though, recalling those days that seemed so long, and then looking back, though, realizing that, yeah, the days were long, but the time so short. So for me, there are days that I think about that, and maybe I go for a long run, and I'm just praying, meditating, just humming along, and this is after snuggling kids. Good day. And then, there are other days that I'm hollering at those same kids, usually to get off their phone, eating raw cookie dough over the sink. It's all about the average, but knowing that it's tough, but the rewards are so worth it. The rewards are so worth it. Knowing that it's not easy saves you a lot of time, too, in just assuming that, anybody's going to hand you anything or anybody's going to open a door for you. You got to seek out those opportunities to be in the battle when God has an open door for you. Don't hesitate. Jump on in there. Time is short. Time is very short. It's very important that every one of us does our job in our own sphere of influence, and don't just leave it to, say, politicians to do it for you. They'll disappoint you. We need to fight for the time-tested truths that secure the blessings of liberty, and with divine providence, really go all in for the cause of family and faith and freedom. And that's why this, to me, is so inspiring, to be with so many women who get it and are saying, enough is enough in this culture war of us kind of feeling like we lose too often. Well, we need to rise up, all Mama Grizzlies rise up to protect the future of our children. I'll keep saying that there is nothing more important. We're only going to make it as the exceptional nation, though, that beacon on a hill. And we're only going to be able to be that light that other nations would be able to look at and do a lot of the things that they could emulate to become greater nations. We can only do that if we counter culture and serve something greater than self. And if we raise our children to know to serve something greater than self and to teach them resiliency. You have to be the example, though, of that resiliency. Thomas Paine said, "If there be trouble, let it be in my day, that my child may have peace." If you share that, you know then in order to have peace, it's not free. It's like freedom isn't free. We have to pay the price. And if we're willing to do that, then I would ask all of you to rise up, literally rise up in your homes, in your communities, in your states, in our nation together. Women finally united to take this country back. Women united to say, no, we know what our foundation is, and as much as culture wants us to stray from that, our foundation is family, faith in God, and freedom, the freedom that God has allowed us. If you know that, then you must do your part, and I implore you to do so. And I thank you so much for having the heart and the soul, the willingness to be out there and be the happy warriors that this country needs. God bless you. Thank you so much for participating in such a great event. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, I have loved her forever. I just got a hug. I got a mama hug from the mama bear. She's better in person than she is on television. It's amazing. All right, so you can feel it in the room. You can feel it in the room. I'm sure you can feel it watching at home. But this is not just a march for today. This is an exciting moment in time, coming together. But it doesn't end today. It keeps going. This is just the beginning of a movement of moms uniting together. So what I need you to do now is something that we tell our children they are never allowed to do. That's get out your mobile device. You have my permission. Here's your 15 minutes where you get to play on it. You were good. You behaved well today. You get your 15 minutes. Grab out your phone and text moms to 53445. When you do that, you will have the ability to give of your heart. Dig deep down into your hearts and deeper down into your pockets, and text the word moms to 53445. MOMS, moms. That will give you the ability to donate to the march and help us keep this going from now and into the future.